Hey everybody, this is Dave Dugdale, LearningDSLRvideo.com. I've been meaning to get a small 150 LED light for a while now, so I got two in to compare, one expensive and one not so expensive. These lights have so many different uses. I've used one to even fix my kitchen sink. I'm not so much interested in using it as a key light, but I am more interested in using it like an accent light, hair light, 3/4 backfill light, you name it. These things have a ton of different uses. The two units that I'm testing are the Canova branded LEDGO, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the CN-B150, and the Light Panel Micro Pro. In terms of construction, both are pretty much equal. Both are made of lightweight plastic and probably wouldn't survive a 4-foot drop on concrete. In fact, I don't think these things would survive just a few years of constant use before breaking. I was kind of expecting a metal case for the light panel because there's such a huge price difference between the two, and the light panel has Pro in its name. To me, if you put Pro on something, it means that it can take the abuse. The light panel comes in at $390 and the Canova is only $130. When unboxing the light panel, I noticed there's a warning note saying if I installed the battery wrong and I killed it, it was my fault. I was kind of taken back by this because when you read a note like that, to me the circuitry design is not really well thought out and it has no fault protection built in. The next thing that really disappointed me in the light panel was the light level control that adjusts how much light comes out of the unit. As you can see, the first half of the travel of the potentiometer does absolutely nothing, and all the action occurs in the last quarter turn. This is not the case for the Canova. If I didn't know better, the person that was designing the circuitry just biffed it on this one, and it's totally using the wrong type of potentiometer. My guess is they're using a logarithmic pot instead of a linear one. However, I do like the way the light panel mounts on a light stand better than the Canova. In my test, it seemed like the Canova had a little bit more light output than the light panel, and it was a little bit more directional. Since both manufacturers don't publish their CRI numbers, the color rendition index, basically how much quality the light is. If it's 100, it's a really good light. If it's lower than 100, maybe not so good in terms of how it reproduces color. Canova told me that theirs was 80 CRI, and Michelle over at Light Panels told me that the CRI for their panel was 85%. I'm not sure why Michelle gave me their CRI number as a percentage. In my test, I couldn't really tell the difference between the 80 and 85. They both look pretty much identical in how they reproduce color. However, when I put them up against my 100 CRI of my halogen light, I could notice a difference, but the difference was really slight. The light panel fails again on its circuitry design. When each battery falls below 1.2 volts, the panel starts to do this massive flickering. I thought light panels was supposed to be a leader in LED technology, becoming first and did all this stuff, so why is their circuitry so poorly designed? The Canova has a nice battery tester, and the light panel has no battery tester. I have very little experience with gels, and I have no idea what CTO or CTB means. Color temperature orange? Color temperature blue, maybe that's it. In my first test, I set the T2i to a generic daylight white balance setting. And as you can see here, the Canova has kind of a green bias compared to the light panel. Perhaps Canova is using a cheaper LED that's more efficient in the green spectrum of light, similar to how fluorescents are. Next, I put in the orange gels, and I set the white balance to a generic tungsten setting. Looks like the Canova loses again here with even more green tint. I'm not really sure that this matters much since it might not be the light that's the issue, it might be the actual gels that they're using that's the issue. And I know you can go and buy a whole bunch of gels cheaply that are like in different increments like quarter CTO and all this different stuff. I don't know, but I'll get around testing it. Maybe it's just the gel that's not very good. The last test I did was to look for banding issues like you'd get with fluorescent lights. But I went all the way down to 30th of a second and all the way up to 800ths of a second on the shutter, and I didn't see any banding issues, which is a good thing. Given the cheap construction of both of these lights, and they might only last a few years of constant use, I think the clear winner here is the Canova, because the light panel just has too many circuitry issues. That's pretty much it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.